Commission meeting. Ed, Steve, is it?
Yes.
Steve, myself, Deb. First thing on the agenda is 275 Wood Street, Joe Webby. That's going to be continued to the next meeting, which will be
The 13th.
September 13th. At what time do you want to do it at?
Can we continue if it's a notice of intent though?
Oh, that's right, because he's just going to resubmit it as a notice of intent. So,
But don't we have to place an ad?
yes, so you're
Like it's a
correct.
whole new filing?
Yeah, so we'll just close this one and he will resubmit
just
as a
a-
notice
it's,
of intent.
Negative determination.
Yeah, okay.
So it still needs to be signed.
What?
It needs to be signed.
What needs to be
DOA.
signed?
The DOA.
Even though we're not doing it, or?
Yep, you have to,
Maybe
you
at
have
the-
to say yes or no, and
Oh.
then sign it.
Oh, okay. So sign here.
Put a
Just,
motion.
yeah, just sign it and then I'll check the box.
Yeah, because I think he was just going to withdraw it.
Okay. Is that what he said?
Yeah. He's just going to submit
Withdraw,
that.
all right.
Yeah, because he's going to do the notice of intent
Okay,
instead.
good. And then we'll just do a whole new
Yeah.
filing and add and everything. Okay.
Go.
Pass it to me.
Okay.
Steve?
There you go, the first one. Yeah. Let's see.
Any bills? Good.
Doesn't look like we have any bills. I don't want to do,
No bill.
okay, it's close to 7:05. Is anybody here for 7:00 for
Charlie.
Charlie Grant's River Street Solar Project?
That's
That was
that's
you?
the,
Oh, yeah.
so I do have a couple of similar exhibits that I realized I left in the car, so if
Okay.
you don't mind, I'll just run out and grab them.
Okay.
Go minutes.
Sure, well,
Yeah, let's do it.
we can go on to the National Grid Forestry work on Carver. What's
On
that?
Carver Street, yeah, so they reached out because they're doing some work there that's going to involve tree removal. So I just asked him to send us a description of what they're doing and where it's located, and that's in your folder. If you
Oh,
yeah, if you
Yeah,
want
folder.
to read it aloud.
do you have
on
any of
record.
those? No? Let's see.
Well, we, like, these
I'm
aloud.
sorry?
We just need to read it aloud.
Oh, okay, so what, their letter?
Yeah.
So it says, "Good morning, Deborah. Thank you for your call yesterday. I've attached a forestry work description, parcel and aerial overviews with the work area highlighted, and an authorization form for the forestry work on Carver Street in Halifax. As a brief project narrative, National Grid will be replacing existing poles 14, 13, 12, and 11 Carver Street. The proposed tree work is necessary to maintain safe clearances to electric conductors. National Grid Forestry will not be putting any equipment within the wetland resource area. All tree debris will be removed and no stumping or soil disturbance will take place. Please let me know if you have any additional information if you require any." And that was from Joseph King, Forestry Supervisor.
Yeah, so what he said was that it would be considered an exempt activity because
Yeah.
it's maintenance, but I just said, let me just
Yeah, but
check
it's
with
good
the
to have
board.
them, yeah. just-
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no problem with that.
Yeah, because it's pretty much something they need to do. So I'm all right with it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
I've had dealings with National Grid actually in the last couple of weeks. It's been rolling trees.
Did they move them?
Yeah, they had to.
good.
They couldn't even
Because
get.
it's kind of a pain sometimes.
They couldn't even get to the transformer at the edge of my property. I didn't even know the transformer was there. The tree was
Just
there.
covered that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that you couldn't even tell that they had done any work. Just the tree's gone. There's no mess. Nothing else was trampled. So
yeah, it sounds like they're.
it's and they had an arborist call me, like an actual licensed
Yeah.
certified degree, and so I'm happy with the work that they do.
So we'll go back to River Street Solar Project, Charlie Grant. And is anybody here for this? Yep. For River Street?
So,
No? Okay. Okay.
any, would it be helpful for me to be on this end, or do you?
Just put it in the middle somehow.
Yeah.
Middle?
Right here.
Yeah.
Handout for, I have a couple handouts.
Okay.
Just 2 copies, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'm not sharing. I think there's 2 copies. These ones,
Okay.
shoot, these are just, so this is just one detail. I was hoping to provide you another detail, but looks like we can get, looks like it's so, anyways, so thank you for taking the time to hear from us. So just wanted to provide an update on the River Street Solar Project. So first of all, we have installed the erosion control measures that
Yeah.
were approved last time, and we sent over, some evidence of that, and I hope that's satisfactory. As part of our initial efforts out there, we did also do a sweep of the turtle, population, or a sweep of the area to make sure that there were not any turtles inside of the fence. Our biologists did not find any turtles, but that'll be evidenced in the reporting that takes place at the end of the year, in line with our turtle protection plan. What I wanted to talk about this evening is a change to the array footprint that we have decided to take. So when we last spoke, I was presenting a plan that showed the project extending on both sides of this ditch that runs kind of northwest to southeast, and that array considered what's called a single axis tracking system, which is a racking system for the solar panels that moves and kind of tilts and follows the sun. We've since then decided to switch back to a fixed tilt ground mount system. That's a much more common design, and pretty much every solar array that you see in Massachusetts is going to have that just kind of fixed tilt array. And for reference, the one off of River Street that's existing, and I believe the one on, I haven't actually seen the one on Franklin Street, but I believe that's a fixed tilt ground mount as well. It's a bit more of a compact design, and so you can fit more DC wattage onto a smaller area. It's a bit less complex to build, and just kind of given the cost environment that we're in, we felt like that was the best decision for the project. And so what I wanted to present to the council this evening is an update to the plan in which we are proposing a fixed tilt system. And as you'll notice, the array is now completely on the western side of that north-south swale. The project footprint, or the array footprint, has dramatically shrunk from, I believe it's 24.5 acres to 13.5 acres, and so it's considerably less, kind of built area. It is the same amount of solar panels, same quantity of solar panels, same DC wattage of panels. It's just that the system is now, instead of moving, it's going to be positioned in one fixed direction.
Okay.
So that's kind of the major update, and then I have a couple of more detail-oriented things to ask of the commission. But before I do that, any questions about sort of the change, or what that entails?
That sounds fine.
Yeah. It's not getting any closer to the wetlands, is it?
So that's what I wanted to talk about. So by and large, no. It stays within the same erosion control boundaries, with one exception. And so in order to contain the same amount of DC wattage, what we're interested in doing is making one alteration to the silt fence location up here, just bumping out to this area. I've quantified that in my memo, and I believe it's 0.4 acres is the total area. Some of it is within the 100-foot to 50-foot buffer zone, and then another is within the 100 to 50-foot, or sorry, 50 to 0
So some is
buffer.
in within the 50 to 0?
Some of it is within the 50 to 0, yes.
I would probably want you to stay out of that area.
Okay, so we can definitely take that feedback back and go back to design and see what we can do with that. But that's that's understandable. I guess, in one thing I will point out is that on this plan, and I wish I had the detail printed out with me, the limits of the plan that was approved in 2018, the project fence, actually runs to the north of where we're proposing to do this. So, in an earlier review and approval of a plan, we were allowed to go into that zone, but ultimately it's your decision. We'd appreciate the ability to fit the same amount of DC wattage. If we do have to stay out of it, it is just one rack, but we'd like to be able to fit it all in there if we can. So
Yeah, there's pros and cons of that. It's take up less space, a lot less
Overall,
acreage.
less space, yeah.
Yeah, much more. It's like he's staying on this side. I'll take water.
Are there
drainage.
plans to do anything on the other side? At a later
not at
date?
this time, but I wouldn't rule out. I'm not at this time.
The mounting system, how far down do you go as far as depth goes with what's supporting those particular racks? Is there something you could do that's an alternate to what all of these are, being that you've gotten closer to the wetlands? Is there a different type of support that you could do that maybe doesn't penetrate the earth so deeply?
The foundation.
For it, because I know they're not all that heavy, but I understand you have, engineers that.
Yeah, I mean the depth of the foundation. So it's just a driven I-beam into the ground, and the depth of the I-beam, I believe. I have to double check the dimension on that, but I believe it's 8 feet.
Okay.
It's just the depth is to provide the structural support that's needed to resist wind uplift and things like that. But the physical footprint of that I-beam is just the eye itself, and it's a few square inches per post, and if it's helpful for me to quantify that, we certainly could try to just come up
I
with
just wonder if it might have less environmental impact if you did something that maybe had a bigger footprint but wasn't quite so penetrative into the earth that's closer to the water.
closer to the wetlands.
Because if you're talking about wetlands, you're talking about water tables, so you're talking about, what's the I-beam made out of? I'm sure it's not stainless steel. I'm sure it's gonna...
It's galvanized steel.
It's galvanized,
usually,
so galvanized does seep,
Okay, got it. I know that there are other foundation systems that are available. I'd have to check what whether we could accommodate that into the design, or if it would be more
cost effective to just eliminate that rack, right?
or relocate it to a different place. That's outside of that 0 to 50 foot buffer. But we can certainly explore that and see what we can come back with. The other thing that I'll mention about that change up here is because of just the timing of construction, we're not going to be making that change until at least the beginning of November.
Okay.
Which is around, just if you layer on the turtle protection plan, that's essentially when we stop having to monitor for turtles because they're in hibernation and that sort of thing.
That may be a hibernation area as well. If it's that close to wetlands, then that tends to be where they hibernate, not deep in the wetlands, but in the edge, in the mud.
Okay, I will take your word for it. I don't profess to know the
Well, you guys have a biologist, so.
We do, yeah.
Yeah,
So that person can certainly weigh in on that. Okay, well that's some feedback I can take back and see about if an alternate foundation design is possible in that little buffer area, if we want to just eliminate it. The other thing that I wanted to point out is we would like to continue to construct the road over here, and while this previous road was extending all the way up into there, and we're still determining how much road we want to eventually use there, but we'd like to install a small turnaround here just to allow that area possibly to be used for storage. So during construction, since we are putting everything on this side of the array, and there's a significant amount of open area over here, we would not be improving much beyond that circular turnaround area. We would just be making it available as a place for large trucks to turn around and circulate and go back out.
And that's this detail.
And that's that detail, exactly. And so that one, we've made sure to
that looks
completely stay outside of all the wetland buffers. Basically get just on the other side of it. Get to the other side of them, and then have enough space to kind of turn.
To me that seems reasonable, because now you have people not backing off the road, because you can't turn around on the road.
Right.
So that makes sense.
Question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. All right, so where is the battery storage located?
That is actually another good point. So I just, before I move off of the turnaround, any questions about that, or would you care to move on to the location of the converter station?
I don't have
Nothing else?
John,
Okay, great.
I have a question.
The turnaround has not been presented to the planning board, just so that you're aware. One of the things we did ask, you didn't represent,
At the time, no.
yeah, last time when we saw it, we did not have the turnaround, and we asked why the road would be continued there, and there was no plans at that time. They just said that it had been approved and that they were gonna keep it due to that, but there was no other plans labeled to us.
Yeah.
So you'll have to go in front of all the correct boards. Even if Concom says it's okay to do it,
Sure.
you still need to go in front of all the correct other boards to get approval.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. So we'll have to get on the agenda for that time frame. And to your point, I wasn't presenting at that particular one, so we'll have to go through that presentation. But I think also too, you know, per the question about the buffers up there. And actually, let me just pause and say that we did present, or another person from our organization, my father, presented at the planning board and talked about the change from racking over the entire area to moving over this way, and just compacting the array onto that western side of the array. So that was presented at the planning board.
Yes.
I believe it was it 2 weeks ago, August 4th, I think. Yeah. So that's a, you know, a presentation or a representation made to the bodies, and so want to, you know, package everything up and get a consistent design together, you know, and get it in front of you guys. So, but that being said, earlier in July, we had not had an opportunity to talk this over when I was in front of the Conservation Commission.
Right.
So the question was asked about where's the battery storage going. In the earlier design, last time I was in front of this body, there was a location down here on the southwest sort of corner of the property. The newer design has that location moving up the project access road to a location kind of in the middle of that array. The reason for that, as I understand it, is that electrically it wants to be in the center of things, and so if the center of gravity kind of has shifted over, that's why we move the battery storage up that way. So, but once again, it does stay outside of the required buffers. It's within the erosion control limits and everything, and we're happy to, you know, answer any questions you have about that.
I have one question, only because I don't feel that it's very ethical or professional to why the plan that was presented 2 weeks ago is different to what you're presenting to us. Because the plans that are turned in should be 100% accurate to every board you're presenting to.
Okay, I appreciate that feedback, and it's certainly not intended to mislead or misrepresent. It's, you know, I'm doing my best to, we are doing our best to stabilize the design as we're headed towards an approval. There's certainly, you know, it was an unexpected development for us to receive the feedback that we did about the cost of the single axis tracker racking system, and so it has thrown the project into a little bit of a, you know, it's a change that we're managing through, but I regret that we did not message the turnaround to the planning board before this meeting. Frankly, or to the planning board, I should say. So going forward, if there's a preferred way for us to communicate things, you know, from our perspective, there's the, you know, kind of the calendaring of planning board meeting, FundsCom, and next one. But whatever the protocol should be.
Planning votes no, our vote doesn't matter.
Okay.
So I'm not comfortable voting on this because it's completely different than what's presented to planning.
I don't think we're voting on it, are we, today? Because you have to change, you were talking about changing that first rack up there.
Sure.
Did you guys already vote?
Yeah, and it wasn't that thing. So,
This
you guys
is a
have to
problem
go back.
because planning has a different plan in front of them that they gave you approval for.
Right.
And now you're in front of us with a completely different plan. I'm not comfortable at all, whether it was intentional or not.
Okay.
The problem needs to be fixed.
All right. That's that feedback is well received, and so we will endeavor to stabilize the plan and come back to you at your next meeting with an answer to the questions that you've asked about the racking and the ballast, or, you know, or the foundation
Oh, no,
design.
please continue to get everybody's input.
Yes.
So, but it's not okay that you went to another department and another board with a completely different plan got approval, and now you're here looking for different approval, because not only does it cause issues for you guys, but it causes internal issues at town hall.
Okay.
And it causes internal issues between board members on different committees, and that's completely not fair to any of us.
Understood. So thank you for letting me know, and I apologize.
Don't apologize to me, apologize to Planet. They're the ones that you
Okay.
pulled a fast one on.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Sure. Yeah, no, I appreciate that the planning board, as of right now, is probably underinformed about this, about some of the matters that I've proposed to you. I mean, I think as I've understood the process, it's one would need to have these changes that I'm describing approved by the CONSCOM in order to even present them to the planning board. So that, I believe, was the process we intended to follow. But it may be in parallel. We could have, or there's a missed opportunity for us to message that out to the planning board and have everyone on the same page. So I do apologize for that.
Yeah, because if planning votes no, it doesn't make it to any of the other boards. Planning is the first vote for approval to come to anybody else.
Then I have my understanding of the process wrong. I thought it was the other way. We had to get CONSCOM first before planning board. So I do apologize about that.
I have a question for you on the road. You needed the road prior because you were going to put the on both sides of that ditch.
Yep.
So now, when you're only staying on one side, you don't really need the road except for the turnaround that you want to do.
Not for an immediate use, no. I mean, certainly, in the future, there may be a need for access to the other areas of that property. It's just seems, there's some efficiencies to when a contractor is mobilized, and there's equipment there to construct what you not just the infrastructure that you need for today, but perhaps for later. So there was sort of an interest in maybe having the ability to put that road in, but. To answer your question directly, there is not any planned use for that parcel or that area on the eastern side of the array right now. So that is, to answer your question directly, no, there isn't like a current need that's serving.
All right, thank you. So do you want? Oh, I'm sorry.
Another question, sorry, I'm getting off the road. About the battery storage, what type of protection is going to be put around that? Because I know I'm not an expert on it. Fires and everything else going on, some batteries, issues, storages. Is there a...
So I believe it was either at the planning board, I think it was at the planning board during the engineer's review of an earlier plan, where the engineer that the planning board consulted, and correct me if I'm wrong, asked if we could put a secondary containment around the transformer for the project. And so we have added a secondary containment system for that. The batteries themselves don't, to my knowledge, contain any oil or leaking materials. They contain a solid state, material. So, the types of protections that are involved involve fire protection, HVAC, sort of cooling systems and that sort of thing. That's. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
There isn't as much like a liquid that could leak into the.
Yeah, like if something happened and it'll go more than 100 feet.
So you have a cooling system for the battery storage facility, for lack of a better word. And what kind of fluid does that use?
The cooling system, I believe, is air-based.
Okay.
So it's not like there's a refrigerant that's running through it.
Okay.
But let me check on that for you and
Because if you are, I can't tell the distance on this to the nearest water,
Is it lithium ion?
It is lithium ion.
which is solid state. So you'd have to, if there is any liquid cooling in the building at all, you'd have to have a secondary, like you said, a secondary. That way, if something did fail, it's almost like a tune underneath. I don't know if you've seen it almost for an electrical transformer that's within the same distance of a wetland.
It's a void that if there is a fluid that if there is a spill, it can go into. And also too, the battery system that we have procured is, and I'm happy to message this out to the appropriate boards or bodies, and certainly when we proceed to a building permit, we'll message this to the fire department as well. But the system that we've procured is not a containerized system. It's not a shipping container like you may have seen on other projects. They're actually freestanding cabinets that are, you know, stacked up sequentially next to each other. They do have electrical connections that run between them, but they're not a building, you know, an enclosure
Okay.
or an envelope that you walk into. So everything is accessible from the outside. So,
Any other questions? No. Continue this then till the next
yeah,
meeting?
that makes sense. Well, thank you for your feedback. And again, you know, I appreciate the opportunity to present to you. I'll take the message back to our end and make sure that we're clear on sort of the process for approvals. Again, I truthfully thought that it was Conscom and then Planning Board, but now that I understand that, we'll go back to Planning Board, present some of these changes, and seek the requisite approvals.
And I'm pretty sure that Ms. Troop's gonna let her chair know that this was a different plan than presented to
Yep.
them too.
That's fine, and I'll make sure to send it around to the Planning Board as well with a cover memo about, you know, again, maybe my misunderstanding of the sequence of, you know, proposed, you know, changes. But, you know, again, appreciate the feedback.
What time on next meeting do you want?
On next meeting, let me check. I think 7:15.
Okay, so we'll make a motion, 7:15? We'll make a motion to continue.
I put a motion that we continue the solar field on River Street.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we 7:15 on the September 13th.
All right,
Okay.
thank you very much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome,
that'd be
thank you.
Actually, I just had one question, you know.
Sure.
Because of the, you know, again, I regret the miscommunication, but at this point in time, there is a plan that was approved by the Planning Board. And so I guess if we were to bring that plan back before this body without these proposed changes, you know, just, is that something that you would consider at that, you know, next meeting, or tough to say? Think about it.
I'd honestly have trust issues. You're better off going to plan and admitting your mistake and going forward with what you really want
But
to do.
if he's gonna bring it back, bring what planning board has already approved. Yeah.
I think,
don't see why
yeah,
not.
like,
It's like it's been
no,
approved by
I'm
planning
just
board.
thinking because, you know, hindsight's 20/20, but if we had just proceeded with the same plan that was in front of the planning board last time, and I was presenting that at this meeting, saying, hey, FYI, we had this conversation with the planning board last time, you know, I think that could have been a, you know, if our next opportunity to do that is in September, then maybe that's what we present then, or to your point, maybe another process or a more, what's the word, restorative process would be to take these changes of what we really want to do, as you say, or things that we're thinking about doing, take them to the planning board. Maybe that's the better course too. So
When is your guys' next meeting?
Our next meeting is September 1st.
September 1st, okay.
Would it be beneficial to reach out to planning? I want to say Miss Snow, and it's not Miss Snow, it's her mom.
Well, it is Miss Snow.
Yeah.
It is
Okay.
It is, yeah, Joe.
Okay, so, Miss Snow and the chair, and see if we should do a joint meeting just for it, because there has already been,
Some
in
discrepancy or, you know.
my opinion, a breach between both boards and a breach of trust.
Okay.
It's a good thought, I just don't know if we could organize that, because I know my schedule is limited, and I take these days off for these meetings, so.
I am happy to do that if that would be the most helpful path forward. So if you know, if the town bodies decide that that's of interest and we want to, you know, all be looking at the same thing at the same time, and it's helpful, then I'm happy to let us know if we can help put that together. If it's not, I'm happy to do 2 more
Right,
meetings.
as long as you present the
Yes.
same plan to both boards.
Right, yeah, I
Yeah,
understand.
I don't
I
think
think that's
we
what,
need a joint one
I,
personally.
yeah, I think just make
Once
sure
they
you
present that, if they go do this plan with them, present it, they vote on it, then the
They
next
come to
step.
us.
Sure, okay.
Okay.
That direction is clear then. So thank you again for your time tonight, and I will plan to see you back on September, I believe it's
Okay.
13th.
And also when you're doing it, I personally prefer that you stay out of the 50-foot. So if you can
Yep,
look at
okay.
that and see if that's something that you can do.
Yeah, that's I think the biggest is the
Feedback,
50
yeah,
foot.
is stay out of the 50 foot.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and if there's any, you know, if the board or the commission wants to give it some thought, and if you have any questions about helpful information about the battery or any other aspects, we're certainly open to questions so that I can, you know, I'll be targeting, I guess, the September 1st planning board meeting next.
Okay.
So questions even that the Conservation Commission would have, it'd be helpful to, you know, prepare something that can be sort of just the stabilized plan that makes it from September 1st to September 13th, and we go from there. So,
Sounds good.
all right,
Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Okay. So being 7:10 or 7:30, 111 Lake Street, request for certificate of compliance. Is anybody here for 111 Lake Street?
Dave, is there anyone in the hall? Is there anyone in the hall?
Thank you. Adam, sir?
So,
No,
is 111 Lake Street?
No, there's nothing, I mean, unless there's something in here.
Welcome back.
Maybe not.
We got next to, no?
So, they requested a certificate of compliance. There was, it was built 11 years ago, did you say, Debbie?
That's when the order of conditions was issued, although there's a much older, there's 2 filings for this address. The one that the attorney's office referred to
Okay.
is this one, DEP 171046. That's for the construction of a new dwelling, single-family dwelling. Then,
Is this the house that Jim's been working on, that the tree went through and completely?
no, she's just selling the house.
This is
Yeah.
just, they want to sell the property and they
I see.
realize they have a
The house was
certificate
built
of
a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and they just never got a certificate of
Right.
compliance prior to.
And then the realtor called today and asked about this file number and said she wanted a certificate of compliance for this.
Is that the septic?
This is the septic. And so I didn't even get a chance to look through this to see if there was an as-built. I'm sure it's fine. I mean, it's Bob,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Had anything to do with it.
Should we double check?
But was Bob even here? You know what I mean?
How long? Bob's only been here for 4 or 5 years.
Okay, so this, Bob wasn't here then. This is from 2003.
Yeah, so that would have been Miss Griner. That would have been Kathy.
There's not a
Griner, that
separate,
old house
isn't
agent.
it doesn't look like there's a separate as-built in here specifically. There's the specs and everything are here, but there's not just a separate,
Yeah. So,
no, no.
I double checked with Bob first
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
septic,
it's not-
because that's the Board of Health anyway.
yeah.
And the Board of Health
It's
trumps
tough
us.
because this woman she's elderly. She wants to complete the sale on the 25th. I just learned about this afternoon.
Well,
2003,
that's, I mean,
just
I'd
feel
hate to
bad.
sound
She's-
cruel,
I
but
know.
that's not our wheelhouse, and we can't just sign off on
I know,
something
that
that
we
we
don't
don't
know.
know is
Yeah.
100%.
So I-
So I
yeah.
would, I'd check with Bob and I'd check with Peggy.
I will. And I also called the engineer because I asked, I know this is 10 years ago, but did you guys have digital copies? We don't.
It's more than that.
We just
Almost
have, we have, luckily have the hard
everything
copy,
here is
but
2003.
we don't have an as-built or letter from the engineer. So I said, can you check to see if you
No.
have one? And then that, because it's, I mean, Kathy did a site
You see
visit,
an
but like,
engineer letter?
it was 10 years ago. How would we know that they were in
It's
compliance,
just,
Right.
right?
no.
No.
I mean, there might not be compliance and she might have to start from the beginning. Did you know if her septic Bob would know, it's not even a question.
Yeah,
I'm
I
Yeah,
don't
but
think,
I have Board of Health questions, we're not even gonna go there because we'll be here for 10 hours.
yeah, I think if there was any septic issues, Bob would know about it.
Right, and Bob would know about compliance because Bob wouldn't have signed off on everything with Concom.
I just mean
And
like
with the thing with septics and other things, the Board of Health trumps
Yeah.
Concom anyways,
Yeah.
so.
I'm just talking, oh, totally. I'm just talking about the single-family dwelling being built because that's erosion control measures, things like that that you check at the time of the construction. It's 10 years later.
Yeah, so I know, it's like,
So
that's,
what can you know, so a letter from the engineer, as built,
Yeah,
would
so
have
we'll
to
just have an
suffice.
as-built would be
The bo-
nice, I guess.
You know what I'm saying?
building department might have copies too.
Yeah, I'll check with,
Because
I'll
Rob
check
and
with Jim.
Jim, before you came aboard, were really covering when
Aboard.
one of the board members couldn't come up.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm around tomorrow if you find out through Jim or Bob that they're all set with this.
Okay, yeah,
Then if it's already with you guys, I'll sign off on it tomorrow, if Jim and Bob are okay.
I have, we'll need at least 3 signatures, right, for the COC?
I'll be, I can always come in.
The real estate agent is leaning on me hard.
Well, and if
Yeah,
you
we
can't, then
know.
they'll just have to delay.
Yeah,
I'll have to bring, I might have to bring my patient and my kid with me to give you a signature, but
you
they're,
can't do it now.
they're right in town.
Yeah.
So if you need me tomorrow,
It would
text
be
me.
right to do it now, right, like on the record?
But do it pending
Like a
Board
pending
of Health
thing?
and building
I don't know.
inspectors.
I don't know, I feel more comfortable with Board of Health, take a look at things first
Yeah,
Okay,
so
Yeah,
we'll do
before I
that.
sign it. I mean, I can come in, you know,
All
when
right.
I'm home, but
Okay.
I'd
we'll
rather.
just have to delay, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to, I mean, they have
Yeah.
to talk, you have to talk to Bob and Jim first.
Okay,
All
And,
right.
will do.
I mean, it was super sweet of you to get it on for them tonight, just finding
I
out
know.
about it and
Yeah.
pulling it
God.
today. I mean, you're pretty damn good and you bust your butt, Deb, just like
Aw.
everybody in this room, but certain
We
miracles
all do,
can't be
yeah.
done.
Alright.
Okay, so well, we won't continue it, we'll hopefully, I guess we can continue it to the next meeting in case it's not
Yeah,
taken care of tomorrow, so anybody wanna make a motion to continue it?
I make a motion to continue 111 Lake Street for the request of conditions of compliance until our next meeting.
And it'll be September 13th, and we'll do this at 7:20?
yes. Do you think that's enough time for Charlie?
Okay, 7:25.
Okay.
Anybody
So-
else?
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Okay, next one's 31 Ocean Ave violations.
Can we just,
I drove by there today, it looks like the dock is gone. Is it gone? It is gone.
It is
But I
gone.
couldn't tell if the pavement was gone though, because there's so much
Yeah.
equipment on the ground, I can't see.
Yeah, I don't know that either. Actually, you know what? Jim sent photos. It's not gone.
The pavement's still there.
The pavement's still there, so,
part of the dock was there yesterday and some of them, so it's 100% gone.
I feel like
Jim
we
Jim
should
went
do
out
it.
today.
Yeah, so someone has visually gone out there and seen?
yes. Yep,
Okay.
confirm that it is completely gone. So, the issue with the pavement, is it more damaging to remove it than it is to leave it?
Okay.
Is up to you to discuss.
Yeah, well, too, though, was like putting the, because when they first presented doing the drainage there,
Yeah,
we didn't want the pavement because,
right. It's so close to the pond.
yeah, and,
The
yeah,
runoff.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we did not want it, so I would say,
Okay, take it out.
Yeah,
My
because
opinion, we
we
take it
did,
out.
when Mr. Perkins had the property, we voted no on that aspect and we
right.
made
All
him
right.
yeah. 'cause it was
change
brought up.
everything and come
Yeah.
present to us with a non-paved paper road.
Something permeable, yeah,
Okay.
so,
Do we have
So-
the old plan with the original elevations on it? Because I think that he should be required to remove that pavement and restore, because if he just removes the pavement, now you've changed the runoff, you've changed, but if he is forced to comply and restore it to what its original elevation was, then you get back the original runoff for the area. Because I can see that this person might seem to be a little stubborn and he may just rip it out and leave a big hole there. Spitefully.
And another thing with 31 Ocean Ave too is he's been spraying pesticides during the day over there within the 100-foot buffer zone, and he's not allowed to do it. Not with a restricted use commercial applicator's license. a homeowner can't spray. Not round off, not cutter, not anything.
No.
And I talked to MDOT and DEP about it, so that's another huge problem on 31 Ocean Ave.
So that would have to be another,
That's a separate violation of itself.
yeah.
That's a
another
separate violation of itself, and I would let Emily know too.
So we
And-
need to memorialize that though, like in a letter, so I would need details, like when's the date that we observed this?
Yeah.
What was observed being used, where, that kind of thing, to compose a letter, and then,
They're in my photos too.
Okay.
And they didn't come to you, right? They
No.
only sent to Kathy, okay.
no.
Okay, I'll look through mine.
So I'll plug them in and I'll send them to you through my other device at home.
And then,
And for the fines then, so he's removed the dock so we can stop the fines for that.
correct, for that,
But I would like to see the fines for the pavement
continue.
continue and increase.
Increased. I'd make them $300 a day for the
Do you
pavement.
want to make a
Okay.
motion for that?
I make a motion to increase 31 Ocean Ave's fines to $300 a day for the refusal of removing the pavements.
And then second,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
No.
Aye.
Aye. No? Okay. You feel like it's too
That's,
much?
yeah, it's too, I think it's over access.
It's,
I know he's been not very cooperative, everything else, we got the dock out, now we tell him, hey, take care of this, fines will stop, everything else. That's just my personal belief, but I'm not, there's
You're
other
being
members
nice.
here. No,
Yeah,
go ahead.
it was a three in favor and 1 no vote.
okay.
So 3, yeah. what's-
3,
3 yay, 1 no.
yeah.
Mr. Lane was a no.
Yeah, so I can sign some more things.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know if we'll send out the letter so he'll know because we'll be sending the fines. And also I like the idea about finding the plan that we had for the
Yeah.
prior one, so we know so he'll know what he has to restore it to.
Mhm.
See if that's something we can find out.
The grade,
Yeah, it just makes sense if we're gonna go ahead and, otherwise if he's not gonna restore it to the original grade, then it makes sense to leave the pavement.
right, it'll be worse off.
Yeah,
Right.
he's gonna have to come in front of us when he tears it out and he's gonna
Exactly,
grade it
that's
and
what I was
stuff
thinking,
anyway.
Yeah.
it's like.
Yeah, have him come
And
for us so we can
Invite this.
I know the last time that Bob and I spoke about 31 Ocean, they did have the file because he really liked Mr. Perkins, actually. Kevin was awesome to deal with.
Yeah, I
I think
heard that he
everybody
did, yeah, everything
enjoys
that-
working
yeah.
with Kevin Perkins Jr., you know what I mean? And then when the LLC and Mr. McKinnon
That's
took
when the
over is
problem
when
started.
all the problems
Yeah.
started.
That's what I've been told, yeah. Okay,
Let's see if we can get him to come in then for a meeting so we can discuss how we can
Right.
remove the,
so at the very least, I could compose a letter.
yeah.
We've observed that the dock is down. The paving still needs to be removed. We invite you to come before the board.
Oh, you know what we could do too, is we could invite him and leave the fines at where it is right now, but if he declines to come before the board, then we could increase it.
But
Give him the,
So what about doing the fines? Making a motion to remove our original vote, make the fines $200 a day rather than $150 and invite him to come in front of the board. Because I don't think that if we don't increase the fines, he's going to come in the front of the board. I mean, it took him 5 months and almost $18,000 to remove the dock.
He might though, he's not gonna wanna add.
Yeah, I know in the past when we added fines, was to get the person here.
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
And once they complied with everything we wanted, we rescinded the fines.
mm-hmm.
Because I think finding somebody that amount of money, and he did comply, that's if he complies.
yeah.
I won't vote to rescind the fines. You don't bring in any money, and you know how much time Debbie has put into this, sending out those fines, and Jim, and the rest of the board. It's everybody in town's gonna say, Who cares? Let's violate. All the Concom does is rescind the fines anyways.
It-
I mean, there's no point in putting in the effort or all of Deb's effort. I mean, the day I was up here and I came up and helped Deb spent an entire work day on 31 Ocean Ave. It is not fair to Debbie to rescind fines and not follow through. Or to Jim, or to the Board of Health, or anybody else in this building.
We can revisit this when if he
Yeah.
shows up and then
Let's
we
see.
discuss it, but
So we want to leave it as we just voted on it, or do you want to decrease it and see if he comes?
I say, personally, if you guys voted on it, stay with the vote.
Okay, we'll stay with
And
that.
once he comes in, then
Hopefully he'll come in and we
Yeah.
can get it resolved and put to rest.
I feel like he's gonna be reluctant to take out the concrete because he's gonna wanna put the dock back in next summer, because he waited until the end of the summer to take it out.
We'll see.
It's still nice.
well, it has to get approved.
It's still nice enough out. The only reason it's out is because the amount of money that's
Yeah.
gone through, and they're going through court, and it's an LLC. And at our first meeting, he told us he wouldn't be taking it out, and it was only a temporary residence. So it's probably going up for sale.
Yeah, okay. So we'll leave it, we'll increase the fine to 300.
To
We'll send him a
300.
letter, have him come. Do you want to put it on the agenda for the next meeting and hope that he can make it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's put it on the agenda for a discussion with him on our next meeting. Make it 7:35 on September 13th.
Okay.
Anyone make a motion for that? Have him come in?
What was the time?
7:35 on 9/13.
I make a motion to request Mr. McKinnon of 31 Ocean Ave to be present at our 9/13 meeting at 7:30 p.m.
7:35.
7:35 p.m. to discuss his ongoing violations.
I second it.
All in favor?
Alright.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Status of 20 Home Street. What's
Right.
Home Street? I'll let you finish that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was asked to add that to the agenda and I'm not sure why.
I'm not sure either.
Is that the house by the water down?
Say that again?
We were there, I think we might have been there like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I think, is it that driveway that goes down past
Was
Eastman
that the one
Road?
that you, Amy?
Yes.
Okay, so
It's clear cut.
clear cut.
They clear cut from Home Street down a straight
Oh.
rectangle all the way to the house. And I just
Okay.
sent you pictures of it
Okay.
from the lake, yeah.
What?
Was this,
Just 2
and
seconds.
it
Oh,
wa-
I was like, that,
and it wasn't
That's
clearing
what I
that they
was-
needed to do for the building of the house?
I sent it to my
This is
work phone.
something,
Oh.
I don't think that he would have
They
included,
clear cut the entire lot, 200 feet to the lake.
there's the,
And it's not
The
just
original
where the
narrative
house
of what they
was
were
or
doing.
is. And just so that you are aware, that house is on the zoning board of appeals next meeting, Monday, first Monday or second Monday of September, whatever which
Does-
one it is, to rebuild, tear down and rebuild. And that's
Does that have like a little pond in the middle?
it's right on East Monpont.
I know exactly what
I
you're
know.
talking about. But I thought 20
No,
Home
going
Street
down
had
towards it
an
though.
old
Little-
approval on file.
Little water.
So it's like right after
Oh.
Liddell's property
I
and
drove
then
by
there's a
that
long driveway.
just today and wondered what
and then there's
happened.
To the
a clear
left?
cut.
I-
I
Yeah,
drove by it just this morning going to the train station.
I
clear cut.
Yeah, it's the whole lot.
No,
is
I know
right
that, but I think they have a notice of intent certification
it was a determination.
on file.
was this one
But
here?
whether it's 3 years old yet, and they needed to refile some other stuff.
It was actually
So this
Kim's
must be the,
determination, it looks
That
like.
little pond, yeah, I was there.
With the like, removal of the
well, maybe
trees, it looks
there
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's complaints about him going into the pond.
Because this
for
here,
some reason.
it's now, you can see from Route 36 straight to the lake. It's all gone. Everything's gone.
It's like literally over.
There's nothing, there's not a driveway, there's nothing, it's just completely clear cut, the entire property.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we need to do a site visit.
Okay.
Right, Kathy?
yeah, anybody available this week?
I
that
can
wants to
go tomorrow. Does anyone want to go with me?
Yeah, I can go. What time?
I get out of work at 7 a.m. tomorrow, so anytime after 7 a.m. and before 4:30. Well, before 4. So,
Tomorrow, Wednesday.
yeah.
All right, so, okay.
Well, maybe not 7.
Want to do like 10 or 11?
How about 10? I don't want too late either. Yeah, 10 o'clock.
10 works.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll bring coffee.
Yeah.
So, can Kathy and I keep this for our visit tomorrow to refer to? Because they did
I
have,
think that's the original.
can I get a copy, pretty please? Thank you, that way we
I
have
lost my
something to look
agenda.
at,
I
because
think I might have passed
it looks like they were approved for X, and that took advantage
Custom
of
Liberty.
It's so much approval.
Yep.
It's gone, who knows where it went. Okay, so we'll look at that tomorrow.
Yeah, I wasn't on the board then, but I remember Jerry talking about it, so.
So next thing on our thing is updates on pending issues, open investigation, and site visits.
We got a complaint about 10th Ave Beach, and I went out, and I told you about 4th Ave, but I didn't go to 4th Ave. There was new sand down on 10th Ave Beach, and I really think, and Bob said he saw new sand down on 4th Ave. I don't know if you made it down, Kathy.
I live at 4th Ave. Like I literally can watch the beach from my front yard. There's no sand. I moved in June 2020. There's no sand that wasn't already there in June of 2020. It may have gotten spread out, but there's no new sand piles or new sand on the beach. I walk my dog down there every day. I know it's not a formal site visit, but
No, I'm not saying, but I think Kathy went out, but there was
I
definitely.
didn't go out. I can go out though.
Okay.
I can go out
But
tomorrow.
even if there was an old sand pile, we're moving it, or how, how it's been doing done, there's no notice of intent or RDAs on file. And Tommy usually comes in and does all the public beaches. The
Yeah.
36 beach comes in,
Yeah.
Ottawa Drive comes in. Every registered semi-public beach in town besides 10th Ave has a notice of intent on file.
Okay.
There has to be consistency with town. And I think it's education. I honestly
Oh,
don't
absolutely.
think that the residents understand what they can and can't do on lakefront properties.
Yep.
And I honestly think that a lot of the newer complaints coming into all the different boards is the back and forth between the bogs and
Being
residents.
responsible for that, but that's the
And
problem.
I don't think it's gonna end. And all we can do is be fair, you know what I mean? There's a violation there. Do you find the association, because 10th Ave is an association, it's a registered semi-public beach. I already checked with Bob, Bob checks it all, but there has to be a consistency. So I think we should just send the association a letter, letting them know that they should come in and file for the notice of intent for any work that needs to be done, laying down the sand in the improvements.
If they
And
have to, because you're saying that they haven't.
that was 4th Ave.
yeah, I mean, I don't even think, I'll take a look again. I mean, if anybody's moved any sand, it's like, kid with a shovel.
Okay, I'll drive,
The piles are still there from when I moved in.
so you're talking about 10th Ave?
Yeah.
I live on 10th Ave, David Masio, 16 10th Ave. I rake that beach frequently, rake it, because there's goose poop everywhere and we can't use it, and I belong to the association. I live on 10th Ave, you can see it from my house. I haven't seen a dump truck dump sand there.
It doesn't matter if it's sand being brought in that you buy at Home Depot, 5-gallon buckets, and raking should technically have a notice of intent on file too.
To clean up goose shit?
The goose ship, the seaweed and everything that comes up onto the property
Well,
because you're within the
I
100
wasn't gonna
foot
put a
buffer
notice of
zone.
intent to allow my kids to walk on goose poop, so I cleaned it up without a notice of intent, and I don't care whose
Well,
authority
I
it
could-
is, because nobody wants their kids to play in that.
No, I can understand that, but it's an education thing, and all we're saying is that the association as a whole should put one on
To make
file.
it, to
Can it
make
just be on file for, say, the season? Like anytime
Well,
that the
it's good
goose
for
poop is...
it's good for 2 years,
Okay.
and then they just refile every 2 years. And if we say, oh, well, Mr. Masano doesn't care, well, then we have a problem with every other semi-private beach in town that does the right thing. Sorry, Dave, but you guys need to do the right thing
See,
too.
I didn't
Well,
know.
you need to talk to the beach administrator then, because that has nothing to do with me.
No, we'll
They-
send
They don't
me-
have anything posted saying that you can't rake the beach because it's got goose and duck poop all over it.
Right, and not a
Is
lot
that
of
true?
people
That you
realize
have to
when
have a
all
permit
the,
to rake?
they,
Yeah. Let's,
deep renovation and things come up, and you rake that and clean it up, it's considered part of wetland, that you're not supposed to rake that without the notice of intent either. And it's technically cleanup, but that's the way
yeah.
the law
So,
is
so
written.
the beach administration has to have a notice of intent when they wanna clean their beach?
Let me look into it, because
This is
if they
insanity.
have to have a notice of intent to rake.
Bob told me they had to too,
Let
because
me
we
look
talked
into it to
about,
find out if that's,
because we were
Correct.
talking about 36, and Onawan and others also have it on file
Yeah.
just to clean it, because they're in the 100-foot buffer.
yeah, let me look into it, and if we do need that, then we can get a hold of the
It
association.
might be a good
And
idea
have
just to
them
do it,
just,
just because, okay, so maybe you don't need it to clean up goose poop, but what if where you're raking there's a bunch of leaves, sticks and stuff from a storm? And that's a little bit further than clean up, you know what I mean? So it's probably simple enough to
You
just
might
have
have
them
seen
on
my
file.
golf cart, what I like to do is when I clean up,
Yeah.
I like to take it out to the gun range where the police practice and help continue to build the barrier
Yeah.
that they use for a backstop. So if there is any vegetation that I do pull from it,
Yeah.
my cart has a dump body on it that I
Yeah.
take out there. Because we do enjoy the beach and a lot of people put a lot of hard work into keeping that beach what it is, including the 4th Ave beach.
Yeah,
Which I've roomed before as well.
yeah.
I mean, this is the bylaws, but I mean, it's basically no person shall remove,
In this here, this
fill,
way,
dredge, you know? So even if it's just like an administrative review, not a notice of intent, which requires advertising and,
Just read
Yeah,
it.
but like you made the point, if it's storm cleanup and things like that, we should
Right.
have the notice of intent. And just because that's what every other semi-private beach in town has on file right now too.
oh, okay.
It's consistency and it's transparency.
Oh, right, that's true, there's
And
another beach.
until we get through the whole administrative review process.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that the beaches or other things, and I don't think the Board of Health or Jim would agree if we went that
Okay.
administrative with it.
So I think also the benefit of a notice of intent is that it comes with orders of conditions. You can just keep continuing them before they expire, they last for 3 years, and that doesn't cost anything. So once it's established, you just have to keep up with just requesting it to be extended, and then you can
Right.
continue to do that same work as long as it falls within the same.
So is that something that somebody from here is gonna send to the beach administration?
We can,
'Cause
yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
all I am is a member.
no, I get it, yeah,
No, we'll
We don't expect
send,
you to
we'll
do
send it out, and it's an education thing.
yeah,
I mean, I think way back when Onawan did theirs,
Yeah.
and
Yes,
Kathy might have been on the
exactly.
board, they didn't know they needed it.
right, and they've been good about extending it every time except they
Yeah.
lapsed. I'm
And
like,
then-
sorry, you're gonna have to refile, you
And
know?
then with the beaches too, but the difference between 36 and 4th Ave, they're both town of Halifax beaches, and the Board of Health and Jim were really upset because they're treated differently. 4th Ave has trash and
Right,
other
and we
things,
need
and
consistency,
36
yeah.
does not.
Yeah.
So the Board of Health and Jim want the trash cans taken out of 4th Ave Beach. It's also a conflict of interest because the individual that cares for them lives
Yeah.
in the area.
Yeah.
And it's creating a whole lot of stink between what the 36 beach has
Yeah.
versus what they're considering special treatment at the 4th Ave Beach.
Yeah, we need consistency, so, I
Yeah, so it
mean,
has to be
whoever
consistency.
the beach administrator is,
Well, 4th
Yeah,
Ave's
how
public,
come?
so that's
Oh.
recreation, that's the town.
okay,
10th Ave is semi-public, they're private. So they're an association like Onawan and the others.
okay.
Well, personally, I want to thank you for
Yeah.
keeping up with it, because, you
Because it
know,
actually probably would end up being a Board of Health issue if nobody cleaned up the goose poop, because
yeah.
it creates duck itch, if you've ever had that.
Oh my god,
No, seriously, you ever gone swimming in a lake that has ducks and geese in it, and you put an open cut, the waste runs off into the water and you get
Yeah.
a pretty
It was
bad
a
infection.
tremendous amount.
Yeah, oh, I believe it, because they come down
yeah,
and
they
mix
definitely, when they sit somewhere, they,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot.
they do.
and so that would make the lake unswimmable.
Yeah.
So, speaking
So
of,
would the board want me to put a letter of intent in for me
The
to
notice of
personally
intent?
groom,
I think
No,
that
I
the
think
beach
it is-
Oh, the beach association?
No,
No,
the
to have the beach
association.
association do
Yeah.
it,
So
because
they can
that will
do-
cover every single member.
Every beach.
Yeah.
and-
right, but what about Fourth Ave?
Fourth Ave is a public beach,
Right,
so
I'm a
you,
resident of the public beach, I'm a resident of the town that the public beach belongs to.
do you get permission from recreation to
No.
do it?
I pay taxes.
As much as see, that makes it really complicated, because you appreciate all the volunteers.
Because I
helping.
go
You
down
don't
there
want
and I
them to
pick up
stop.
trash after the place has been emaciated over a Saturday and a Sunday,
Why
But
is,
that-
why
that
isn't
comes
the
in-
town doing it?
Yeah,
Can you do me a favor?
because they can't keep up with it.
Because they would have to come every
The
Saturday and every
the
Sunday.
person that takes care of it, I wouldn't expect him to try and keep up
So
with it, because the
see, but
trash
there's-
cans are overflowing as it is.
There's more help than just that one person, though.
So does this come under then recreation, these beaches?
The fourth beach is, the recreation cares for them.
So
Well,
they're
The
the
beach
ones that,
association, they do all the beaches or just
Just the private beach.
Just their
just the
private beach.
house?
so,
Yeah.
So
so I would think
but-
if he got permission from the recreation,
I would,
So you-
but what I'd
private
like,
and
but
recreation?
what I'd like to see, because the more trash that's down there, and if it's not taken care of, and if the residents aren't grooming it and going above and beyond, is pictures before you do it, Dave, so we can keep a file of it, and that way we can share them with the chief, because there's other issues down Fourth Ave, whether it's residents versus non-residents,
Okay,
and
but-
they're thinking about doing, let me finish.
That's giving me a job that I don't get paid for. I'm doing it on my own accord,
right?
because I enjoy using the facility. I enjoy using.
Yeah, he doesn't want to have to
I
wait
don't
for town
wanna
to
get-
go there in the 3
I don't want to
weeks.
get involved with it. I won't touch it again if I have to start taking pictures and do somebody else's job. I'm going down there because I enjoy using it. If I have to start taking pictures and doing somebody's job, I'm not going to touch it.
Well, it's someone
Maybe
gets
just
paid
check
to
with
do
the-
it. Someone
think-
gets paid to do it, that's the
Yeah.
problem, and the
Then I think
residents are
then
doing
that
it.
it's-
Again,
go
but
to
I
the
don't
recreation,
mind
right.
doing it, and I don't understand what the
Yeah.
fuss is about.
Right.
If I'm just going down there and doing a citizen's duty to clean the beach, I don't
I've
know.
lived
I
there.
think the over where
I
they,
think we're overthinking this, and it's
Yeah.
making it a little bit of
Right.
obnoxious.
So you want to
statement.
use a little more
I'm not
common
gonna,
sense.
honestly, I'm gonna drop my statement and say, I won't touch it anymore. Because I don't care, because I wanna do it anyways.
that's just a violation though. And that's just, it's
Right.
gonna create
So is-
more problems.
Uh,
But once the trash cans are removed and eliminated from there, it's gonna be bring your
It'll be
trash
worse.
out.
But it won't be, because that's why.
They just
so
dump it in.
I've been there, like I said, it's only been 2 years, but I go to the beach every single day, year round. And for about the first month of the season this year, there were no trash can, no porta potty. It just went away. And the people who use the beach, in my opinion, that don't live in town, because I ask them where they live,
Right by
and
the
they can't
picnic
give me an
table.
address, they just leave their trash where it is and walk away.
Yeah, right by the picnic
That's
table, or by the
where,
lamp.
that's where discussions are coming in place of having those of us that have our stickers in town and having out of town stickers and fees.
The discussion should be who's gonna enforce it. Because it's a daily occurrence. Who's gonna enforce it? The only time that they want to enforce it is when it's convenient for them during Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday when the town hall is open. Who's gonna enforce it Saturday, Sunday, or Friday afternoon?
Well, maybe the town could have like a summer program or something like that.
That's
Like
what they're
pay some
discussing.
high school kids, I know.
Doubtful. A high school kid?
Because I've
No,
called-
like,
no, these men will get into a confrontation. They've gotten into confrontations
Yeah.
with me. They've gotten into confrontations with
The
cops
police.
because they think that they have the right to be there, even though they don't live in town, and they make a mess. And they,
Well, then they get arrested. I mean,
That doesn't
because
happen.
the cop just tells them, "Hey, you got to leave," and then he leaves.
And then they come back the next week. It's starts.
No, I mean the cop leaves, and then the guy just stays.
Sounds bad.
so that's something to speak to the
Signage
chief
might be
about.
more appropriate with a direction. If you wanna put rules on it, on what people, especially residents that are volunteering in their own time to do, put it on a sign. You don't wanna waste money and time, put it on a sign. If you're gonna tell somebody, don't clean up the beach because it's a violation, then, okay, I won't.
That's not the problem, Dave. The problem is that there's special treatment between 4th Ave and 36, and both
No,
beaches are used
no,
the
that's
same.
that's not my problem. I live
Right,
near
that's
4th
the
Ave. I don't go
town's
to
problem.
36.
When,
My problem was we discussed that if I go
Right,
and clean
but
one of
here-
our
here's
beaches,
an
then I'm
issue.
getting told,
the
you're
person on
gonna get a violation.
recreation, the person on recreation lives there. We have a board member on Concom who lives down there. So, the view of others in town are that 4th Ave Beach is getting special treatment. That is the complaints that are coming in. True, false, or indifferent, that's not my job to decipher.
Is
Okay.
4th Ave Beach and 36 the same designation? They're both town-owned public beaches.
Correct.
Then why isn't there a porta potty and a trash can in the parking lot over by 36?
Well, because the porta potty and the trash cans for 4th Ave were never approved by anybody.
Okay, well
They
then,
were put there without permission.
okay then, well then,
They should,
I think-
they should be added to 36.
I think
not
it should be
removed.
added, because if you are gonna have people use it,
Well, who's gonna clean them up over there, because you pay taxes to have the people that are supposed to be taking care of it, and they're not.
Let's just send violations to the people leaving the trash.
It'd be awesome if people got litter tickets, Dave, but
I'm not
that's
gonna
not,
catch them either though.
that's not my field of expertise.
All right.
All right, was this
Let's-
even on the
let's-
agenda?
This was a discussion.
yeah. that's,
I don't know if we can solve all these problems tonight. What we
No, I
can
don't think we can.
Is we can send, the one thing I think we can do is we can send a letter or have the Association Beach for you, just do the notice of intent that Debbie talked about earlier. That's just start. We can at least do that. In my opinion, I don't see any problem with you raking up goose poop, but that's only my personal opinion.
I mean, but
The-
we have to follow the bylaws
But
and we
this
have
is
to
for-
follow the laws.
The
But this
bylaw
is-
is a little vague when it comes to that, because no person shall remove, fill, dredge, or build upon or alter the resource area.
Yeah.
Is
Raking
is
goose
animal
poop.
waste
Resources.
'Cause
altering
if your dog
because it's
should-
temporary?
If your dog poops
You
on
have
the
to
beach,
pick it
you
up.
have to pick it up. So
I
don't-
understand,
yeah.
I understand that,
So-
but when they're removing the debris and raking it up.
Right,
and
that's the
cleaning,
difference,
there
is the storm
definitely
debris,
needs-
that's,
There's more to it.
right.
You can rake up the goose poop, in my opinion. Don't touch anything else for right now.
Without a
Okay.
notice of intent.
Sounds good.
Okay. Is that good for everybody for right
And
now?
the notice of intent will be good for 2 to 3 years, so
Right,
once they
right.
file that,
And
then,
there's no-
right.
and there's
then
no
you can
fee to it,
continue
correct,
that
Debbie?
notice of intent also.
There's no fee to the
Once we-
notice of intent,
There
correct?
is a fee for the notice of intent,
So,
but it's a
But-
one-time fee.
yeah,
Right.
And then you just have to,
That's
it's
up
good
for-
for 3 years,
That's
and
up
then
for
you
the-
just ask for an extension
Yeah.
every
Yeah,
3
that's
years.
for
Right.
the people.
So it's a one-time fee, and it'll cover you for,
so
Do we-
literally what I've done, just so everybody's on the same page, is I've raked from one side of the beach to the other lengthwise. Just to smooth it out, I cleaned all the poop and stuff like that, and that was really it. I mean, as far as anything being removed, trash, that was it, for the most part.
I have a weird question.
Sure.
Where does the poop go though? It's removed? You remove it?
The poop is in like the outskirt areas.
No,
So-
she's asking if you put it in a trash
Oh,
bag.
no,
Yeah, like, is it
no, there's no cans there, so.
Okay.
So rather than the poop being scattered and washed back into the
Right.
lake, the outlying areas where people don't walk or use is where I put the poop.
it's getting nicely fertilized.
So if you, so the outlying areas, actually have photos I could show you if you wanted to see them.
No,
Okay.
okay. So it sounds good, so can we like maybe send like a little notice, send a letter or something to the association
Are they still,
having them do a notice of intent?
is
So
D,
what's the association though?
What's the name of the association?
I think it's 10th Ave Beach Association, I believe.
Okay.
I'm not 100% certain, Amy Tree
Or
could
even
probably.
if, in case we can't find it, even if you could call Debbie tomorrow, just give her the name of someone she can, that's like a
Bob will have it across the street because he tests for
I
them.
think that the chairperson is Margie Pajolti and Ronnie Pajolti
Because
are the
the,
chairs, and then Martha, I can't think of her last name, is the treasurer. So Adrian McDougal, I think, is another member, a board
Okay.
member of the, so, but I think it's the Pajoltis
Okay.
that are the chair.
yeah, because the association pays the Board of Health to go down and do all the testing. because they're semi-public, and to be registered, Bob has to do the testing.
Okay.
Or they wouldn't be allowed to be registered.
Okay, so, perfect. Any other questions about
Well,
this?
this is also, this is also open investigations and site visits. How do site visits work? How do site visits as a conservation commission work?
What do you mean?
So do you congregate as one and say, okay, I'm gonna go do a site visit, or can you go on your own?
Well,
Go do a site visit?
with
Do you
this-
have to consult the board before you move ahead with any
If a
commentary?
violation comes up before the board, then we can drive by the property to see if there is a violation
Yeah,
that needs to be addressed. And then we would have to,
address the board.
yeah, we could talk about it at the
So
board
a
meeting.
member can go to the site
Yes.
without addressing the board, correct?
No, it usually comes at a meeting, the
Yeah.
board knows about
All right,
this.
let's say it wasn't on the agenda. If it was something else.
He's speaking about when I
drive.
had to go out to Morse Brothers when the Chief Sheriff and I spoke, because we got complaints and Debbie wasn't here yet and they couldn't get a hold of other members. And the complaint that came in was that they were removing endangered species, that they were running over turtles, and there were dead birds. It couldn't wait. There were zero of any of that going on. Chief Sheriff sent Scott back to take me out. It should have been 10-15 minute site visit. He spent 3.5 hours with me, and and I know the residents are unhappy because that one complaint, which is completely different than every other issue they have going on, and everybody on the board knows, had endangered species really been being killed, removed to other things, National Heritage and DEP needs to get called. They could have had the box shut down, and in my personal opinion, the way the person worded it, the way it came in, it was done intentionally. And because they couldn't get their own way with everybody else, they thought they'd get
So
their
I
own
guess
way with
his
Concord.
question was, how did it get brought to a person on the Conservation Commission's attention? Because I was interested in that too, because like I said, well, like he's bringing up, is there something besides that? Or were you
The
thinking
problem is
hypothetically?
there's conflict, so conflicting of what she was received, either correspondence via email, cell phone, personal email.
Okay.
Okay, versus what was also brought up that she stated after her site visit before consulting the board. She didn't consult the board and then made a statement at town meeting or
Well, I don't know if she made a personal statement.
Right.
It's
she
personal.
said, I went out as a conservation because I have a badge, and I went out and
That's
I
not
did.
what was said. I'd let
It's
John
on.
know that
it's-
I went out.
You know what? I have to review the video, but anyways, you went out as, you know, a board member, and you made a statement in front of the town, and there were people that were upset
Yes, because they were
that
told
that did not
complaint
make
was a lie.
or make the calls that you allegated. Okay. That you allegated there was other concerns that they had.
Correct,
And
David.
they tried to have their defense, and the whole meeting was a big debacle because it was shut down by the selectmen anyways, but she made a point to
It
say
wasn't the
that.
selectmen, it was actually zoning. You want to talk
Zoning,
about
I'm sorry, you're right,
boards,
zoning board. So
manufacturing.
she made a public statement on behalf of the Conservation Commission without consulting the board. And this is something that I'm genuinely concerned about because it's misleading information without actually making it to the board to make a group decision.
Actually, the board was informed about it at last meeting, and
Not
zoning,
before the zoning meeting.
it doesn't matter because it's my site visit with my report. It's, no one else was there. But the fact that,
Was an HESP informed if this was about endangered species?
there was nothing to inform them about because there was absolutely nothing going on. There was no dead turtles. There was no removal of spotted salamanders. There was no dead birds on the site. And the spot that does have national heritage is properly labeled over there, and they're a good 300 feet away of the operation zone.
So my question wasn't on that. My question
Yeah,
was,
you just said, what's the procedure?
What is the procedure? How is it to be addressed to the town during board meetings for a separate board member without having a quorum and discuss it prior to then going to in front of another board?
Usually we discuss it at the meeting. We can though, if it's not going on property, we could drive by a property.
But then is it discussed in the Conservation Committee board, or is it available to just bring up at will at whatever time?
If,
No, they have turtles, but they weren't dead.
That's dead and crushed in the road. I took the picture myself.
That's dead and crushed in the road, but that was not dead and, they were not removing and dead and crushed the day I went out.
No, that's correct.
No.
But, so,
Right.
and do you have your conflict of interest on file for when it comes to
So-
Morse
This
Brothers?
This is opposite of what I've
Bring
asked.
this up.
Well,
And I haven't gotten, I haven't
No one
gotten.
asked. No one asked.
Personally, this is how it's always happened with the board. It's brought to the board's attention at one of our meetings. Then we discuss, oh, someone go out to this spot, that spot.
Yeah.
Then we go out. That's the usual procedure. Go out, check it out, then come back to report to the board or bring
Right.
pictures or whatever.
Unless it's an emergency, like if
Yeah.
a tree, right?
Oh yeah.
If it's an emergent,
Right,
then,
then it's like who can
Have
go,
to-
because they're
And
on
she
call.
did.
Okay,
Yeah.
We had a meeting. She came. She reported her findings at her site visit to the rest of us on the record.
before the
Yeah.
zoning board meeting.
I don't
That I'm
need
not
to
certain.
because it was an emergency meeting and I went in and then I was asked
So
to
this
go
is
to
what, that's what
zoning.
my question is, so her findings are okay to speak on behalf of the Conservation Commission at the zoning board?
There's no finding, it's a discussion.
Your
because there was
findings were
nothing.
discussed at the zoning board meeting that you stated, I didn't see this, this, and this, I spent 3 hours with the owners.
Right,
Is that how it works? So we can just blurt out whatever we want, doesn't matter if we've consulted the board. Her findings were okay, it should be documented and stated at that zoning board meeting and made legitimate? Because she went out instead of consulting the board after her site visit.
I did not go to the zoning board, so I don't know
see,
what
you
was
guys,
discussed.
see, this is the problem,
So-
that the residents are only upset because I found nothing at that site visit.
Because you were listening to whatever correspondence you got. You didn't listen to the other majority of the people that had their
I'm not
complaints.
talking about zoning,
Okay, so-
and the other
So
complaints
I'm
have
asking
nothing
if
to
the
do with
procedures
Concom.
were followed
Right.
correctly. Was she allowed to speak on behalf of the Conservation Commission at zoning board right after her site visit? Yes or no?
On behalf of the board, in my opinion, no, because she had yet to make her report to the board.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a
But
good night, all.
my understanding was that you simply went there and said, I saw X, Y, Z.
That's all I said at the
Right.
zoning board,
I know.
and the fact that the complaint came in was false and the resident lied. That time, but it doesn't mean and all the other complaints
Right.
they want conservation to handle are not conservation matters.
Right.
And having to filter out that nonsense, they're pissed because they think that because they can't get what they want, that they're just gonna hammer at everybody else, and anybody that disagrees with them, they're gonna get nasty with, they're gonna be rude to, they're gonna file complaints on, they're gonna get in their face, and that's fine. But they're not gonna make friends,
No.
and they're not gonna go about it correctly, and and the person presenting that day was Cheryl, and Meg, Cheryl, and Patrick all understood the difference.
Right.
The board understood the difference. It's the other residents that want what they want, can't get what they want, that wanna cause problems.
Okay. Let's continue on to something else.
Yeah, Morse
Yeah.
Brothers ain't going away either.
Okay, so
So-
we're gonna continue on to, if that's okay.
Oh,
We're gonna go
perfect
on
with
to the
me.
talent bank.
Yes.
If anyone actually wants to join us.
There's
So
a
we
few
have
people.
several.
I think
sorry.
Patrick,
So
I read Patrick
Okay,
Gillespie's.
so I'm just gonna go through everybody's and then we can, this
Stop at
one,
each
first
one.
one is Jeremy Gillespie. He's expressed some interest on August 15th. He's a sales manager, experience with freshwater fisheries, biology, habitats, vulnerabilities, management of various agencies in 5 different states. So
That piqued
that
my
one.
interest that he's got experience in different
Yeah.
states because,
Good understanding of aquatic, wetland, upland plants, grasses, and trees.
yeah.
So that's that
So that
one.
one
I'm
piqued my
surprised
interest.
Jeremy's not here tonight.
Me too.
So that's one person.
What's this for?
This is
To
on
be
for
board member?
associate.
Oh, okay.
So we can have 2 associates.
2 associates, because if something happens.
So then another one would be David Amasio.
That was the gentleman who's just here.
David's interested as a resident, pays close attention to town politics for the better of the towns and the community. So that's David, that's another one.
He applied at the same time I did. And
Okay.
we know that.
He applied, yes.
The
back in
selectmen do not vote,
May.
yes, very often, on certain applications.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm
Okay,
staying
so-
out of it,
I was,
I'm not.
Yeah.
I was happy to get approved.
Okay,
I was
so.
happy to get appointed that night.
You're extremely educated.
I try to be, and I try to learn even more because our bylaws are older and different. But
No, they are, and I
Yeah.
talked to Jeremy one-on-one, just as friends, and shared different things, and I know I sent Deb and Kathy, like,
yeah,
what the vegetation wetlands, and he wanted to know different things for lakefronts, and I said, well, this is from MDOT, these are the
Yeah.
native plants you should plant. And he was like, can I share it on our, whatever little web?
yeah, because
you
both of
guys
us
have?"
have been talking a lot about just the vegetation and the wildlife we find in the lake.
Yeah.
And so he's very
And
intelligent.
it's a lot of fun, but I gave him
Yeah.
a lot of the documents of what, if you're gonna put in, because he needed a notice of intent.
Yes.
He ratted himself out an email.
So are
So,
you saying that the bylaws are what, they're old? Is that what
They're older than the state bylaws, which means they supersede them. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but
Yeah.
I wasn't as familiar with them as I am with the state bylaws when
okay,
it comes to
And
wetlands.
And ours are a lot stricter than the
Yes,
state too.
yeah, they are.
the last person was Frank Johnston. He submitted this in July of 17th. He's, let's see, certified hazmat responder, rail and highway fixed facility, managed environmental firm for 3 years, day-to-day operations, budgeting, profits, loss, recruiting, hiring.
So I know when Jeremy's went in, because I told him we had an associate seat open. So I probably shouldn't vote on that one.
Well,
Because that was, I told him we had an associate seat open, and he should apply. But when did the other applications start coming in? and
July,
what are
this was July.
He's on
David
straight.
Marcio was May, and then Jeremy was August.
Yeah.
So we have May, July, and August for the three. We have 2 positions. So I don't know if there's any thing written as to how many associates you can have, but we've always had no more than 2.
2. I think it's 2 for
so-
a full board of 7.
Yeah, so I think
Right.
if you wanted to, we could either have all 3 of them come in, or we could just choose 2 that we think.
Well, I think it'd be fair to have them come in and
Yeah, maybe have all 3
give
of
the
them come
case
in
and
for the.
then we'll decide after that.
I think that's- I think
invite
so.
all 3 of them in for the next meeting then.
And then.
That way they can watch a meeting and see if it's something they're interested in and.
Oh, okay, so they just attend and.
Yeah, attend and
We're
then
not interviewing?
and do-
or anything?
Well, we can
No,
ask.
I'd interview. Should we come up with X amount of questions, like the selectmen do, and ask all 3 of them the same thing?
Yeah, I think the selectmen went with 4 questions, so I think we can whittle it down to 4
Yeah,
questions.
we can each ask a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
How long do you want to spend on?
Maybe
that?
give it
Is
a.
that good at the end of the meeting, I'm guessing?
I would let's do it at the end, because that way they can observe.
So like
and-
7:45
Yeah.
is the next time.
Yeah, so
slot?
it's figure 7:45 until 8 o'clock, we can
Okay.
plan on doing that.
Okay,
Okay. Sounds good.
talent thing.
And is there anything else on the
Um,
thing for tonight?
Deb had talked about doing I skipped one. The whole board wasn't on the email from Bob, but I had just shared, I hadn't seen the new, vegetation plans from MDOT
Okay.
that they've redid. So I sent them to Bob Valley and the Board of Health, cause, I'd been discussing things with Girl Scouts for their bronze pin, which is completely different than Concom. But then we were discussing education and how the lack of education is there for the lakefront homeowners and the wetlands laws in town, what you can and can't do. And then Bob and I were discussing doing an educational forum. And then I spoke to Kathy about it through text message and things as the chair. And Kathy's concern was we didn't currently have anybody employed in the office now, but now that Deb's back, and then after I shared the documents, Mr. Valley had wrote back to Kathy and I that he'd be supportive of education, it's free, and he felt that it was needed too. So looking to get a vote, and I don't mind doing all the work. I do it for mosquito control and work with them all the time. Debbie's had some great ideas to
So
get
you'd be doing forums for the town.
but sponsored by, like with the Board of Health and Conservation, to get the proper education out for wetlands. What you can do, what you can't do, how you get your notice of intents in, what you can and can't,
How do we put those on our website?
the
Just do
education.
that, just put it out on the website and then they'll have it there to see.
That
And
is,
that way it's permanent and,
We
I
could,
don't even have a forum about how many people show up at the forum.
the mosquito control forum, there was 150.
Well, that's good, really good to know.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that everything's going on with Morse Brothers and there's a lot of new people in town and there's a lot of interest in the environment, I think there'd
and
be a
there's a
lot
lot
more
of
in
volatile
attendance.
personalities.
I mean, I've been to some of the forums in some of the other towns like Carver and Plymouth, when they're talking about their situations with their bogs that are not operating as bogs, and there's been as many as 300 or 400 people at these
Right.
forums.
I think that an educational forum would be
Yeah.
beneficial. The Board of Health is already on board, we just
Okay.
need a vote from Conservation.
Can we think about it and bring it up to the next meeting? Or
I
if you
can't think
want
of
to
anything
vote
right
on
now, I
it?
don't see anything wrong with it
I don't see any reason not to
okay.
go ahead with it.
Okay,
Because, and then we just have to vote on topics and things like
Right.
that, but that's gonna require, we can't have 3 of us because there's a quorum. And the Board of Health can't have 3 of them because it's, no, the Board of Health is on 3, and usually Bob does. So would you like to help me, Steve? Would you like to be the second,
I
come
can-
up with like an agenda, like through email?
Yeah, absolutely. I can do
If
it.
that's okay with
Yeah.
Kathy, just, and then it'd be WI, the Board of Health, bring it back to the meetings
Okay.
and vote on the agendas and such dates and do
I-
that, and I know that,
or maybe you can put me in a separate one because I'd want to be informed of what you're doing. You know what I mean? If you can't put me on the email,
Deb, can you forward the email so it's
because
to add in
as the
Kathy,
chair, I
so
need to
it's
know what
not,
you're doing.
so it's not, so she's not informed.
Okay,
And this
so do you
is
mean like
about-
when we actually schedule the forum?
No, like when me, Steve, you, the Board of Health talk, because we'll have a quorum and email
If
with
there's a thing.
Kathy on it. But,
It's between the 3 of them.
so it would, we'd need
Just
you to
forward to me what
forward
they're
the
doing.
emails to Ed and Kathy and Colleen. That way it's not a violation of the open meeting law.
I'm
Right.
confused.
So email, if you have a quorum and
No,
email.
I get that, I just
It-
don't understand, like,
So it would be,
you're voting to have the forum tonight,
right,
correct?
but I asked Steve if he'd be my second.
Right,
So it would be yourself, Steve, myself, Bob Valley, and
Yeah.
whomever he chooses on his board,
yeah,
not to be, so he doesn't have a quorum.
yeah,
But Bob usually has Peggy send everything out, so
Okay.
it's not a violation. So I was just asking on the things that have to do with the education form.
Yep.
If you can make sure that our emails you're on get forwarded to Colleen, Kathy, and Ed, that way we're not violating the open meeting law. Because if you send it as administration,
yeah.
we're not violating the law.
Oh, okay, I was
Just
gonna
forward
say,
me the emails.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And to-
what Kim was saying was send it to everybody. Because if it comes from me, then it's not a violation of the open meeting law.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, I was just trying, it's a new thing.
All right.
Transparency and honesty, whether
Next.
the town likes it or
I know.
not. I mean, you can't ask for it
Okay,
over here,
what is the next-
and then want
I think
favoritism
that was
over
it.
here. Doesn't work
Take
that way.
it. Did I take it?
What's the thing?
Okay, what's in,
Should we do we need to vote on the
The
forum?
forum? Yeah, I guess.
do you, it's just, I don't think so, it's just,
I think it's more of an internal operation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, so.
I think that's
So no.
public.
All right, good, it's discussed, it's
There we
approved,
go.
move
Okay.
forward.
Okay.
Just triple checking.
Yeah.
just look at the next
Well,
one
let's go.
is, I think that's,
So we had a Facebook question. Social media, that's another community education outreach. And
I think-
Caesar will help me with it.
I think for now,
Focus on the forum, I think.
that's, yeah,
or take both, whatever you're gonna use for social media and have it only be education. No.
Correct.
Nothing, no other input from any of us
No.
or anyone else.
No, because we're the only
It would be
board
announcements
and commission
only.
in town that doesn't have admin that has a Facebook to put
Okay.
out. They do this, or we found this, or here's look what's new, this just made the
Yeah, and
endangered
it's
species
announcements
list, and this
only,
is
so
cool.
no
and-
one can make, there's no comments, there's none of that
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, because there's a
And
Facebook
no
policy by the
messages.
select.
It's
Perfect.
for announcements strictly,
I do
or
think
like
it's necessary.
education.
Okay.
Yeah, like, many people don't know that you have to call conservation, even if you wanna remove a shrub, right? Simple things, like, people really don't know that.
I feel like a lot of the
That's-
things that have
that's
come
it.
before us since I've been here have been like
It's
what's
education.
his name
Yeah.
over there with the fence? Like he just
Yeah,
didn't know. He's like, oh, I got approval for
Yeah.
the fence. I thought I could just put it up.
Right,
Yeah.
You know?
It is, it's education. And
yep, and there's no community involvement, people aren't gonna be able to make comments, but they can
Okay.
obviously call if they,
Right.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay.
But a lot
Absolutely.
of, the generations are all about that social media.
Yeah.
They find everything out on social media. They do their
All right,
news on
so-
social media, like.
So we'll do that. So we'll let you do the Facebook.
All right,
All right. Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
My third.
Okay,
All right.
done.